On today's show, we'll speak to an internationally known Italian singer, entertainer, master of ceremonies, and national radio host, Filippo Voltaggio, about his family, his life, and his career. So get ready. Good news is coming your way. Hi, everyone. I'm Father Jim Vaughn, and welcome to Good News. As always, we're here to bring you the people and the places and the good things that are going on in our life of faith and in our world. Yeah. International flavor today. That's sort of our on Good News today. You know, my first guest you're going to meet right now, he was born of Italian immigrant parents, raised in beautiful Northern California. And as a small boy, his parents would stand him up on the top of the kitchen table to sing and entertain their guests. And I swear my mom and dad did the same thing. Now he sings, though, for real, not like me, and entertains on an international level. It would seem that his parents knew where this man was headed. And it's my pleasure to welcome him to Good News all the way from California, singer, entertainer, master of ceremonies, and national radio host of Filippo and the Chef. This is Filippo Voltaggio. Welcome.
Thank you, Father Jim.
I mean, that's a cool introduction, man.
I thank you for that.
Yeah,
actually.
I didn't write it, but that's great.
I didn't either.
I know. But I mean, did you really, I mean, your whole life, you've sort of been born to be this entertainer, to bring joy to other people.
You know, it's an interesting thing because, yes, before I could remember, people used to tell me that my parents used to put me on the kitchen table and have me entertain. Whatever I did, I don't know, sing, dance.
Yeah, sure.
And then, of course, we always had guests over,
sure.
So everybody would come over, and I picked that up, I guess, and started to entertain them with magic tricks and jokes and stories, and that continued. But when I started to get serious about it, then my father says, "Oh, no, you're not going to be an entertainer. We're not going to have that in the family, you know."
Yeah, sure.
So, and then it was like, well, wait a minute. It's what I like. It's what I do. Why'd you put me on the kitchen table? It's your fault.
And then you also said that you were an altar boy. You served Mass in your parish, right?
Right. Again, great Italian family. We were all involved in the church.
Of course.
CCD, and I taught CCD. But the altar boy, can I tell a story?
Yeah, sure. This still happens. I want you to know the story you're going to tell. So,
we were talking about this earlier, and I think it's hysterical. And the fact that it still happens, I think is funny because here, you know, the vestments that we would have to wear.
The cassock and surplice.
Right,
that's what you used to wear, yep.
Exactly. And there were so many of them. And I always thought mine should have it or something, you know? I mean,
like in baseball.
No, exactly. Or have one made for me or something.
Sure.
Because they were either too long or too short. And then the ones that we had in this particular church, you could then fold it over the cord.
The cincture, yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So
yeah.
Thank you for
you
that.
Knew that.
No, yeah. But if it wasn't right, then it would just like flop over too much. So sometimes Mass would end up starting a little later because Filippo hadn't found the right cloth yet or something.
Believe me, you are not. I'm telling you, just this week, I was screaming to the kids, "It's the 6:30 Mass. You got to go. Come on, let's go." So this is like part of altar boy, altar girl-ism. It just continues. You know?
I'm glad I can relate. People can relate to this story. It's not just you.
It's not over.
And actually, I took it a step further. I mean, I was so obsessed. Maybe because it was the showman in me. You know, I don't know. I'm gonna use that. It was the showman in me that it had to be right. So then, when I kneel down during parts of the Mass, and you know, I knew this was the wrong one. It's too long or it's too short, and so I'd pull it and I'd tug, and invariably I'd miss something. Like everybody's standing up now, except for me, or it's time to ring the bells. Is there a name for that too?
The consecration of the Mass, of course. Yeah, sure.
No, that I knew, but the actual bells.
No, that's just the ring.
The bells.
Yeah.
The one thing.
There you go.
You got that down.
It was always time to ring the bells, and I'm not ringing the bells, and all I hear this, psst, 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 and I look up.
So you missed it. And nightmare. Now, I read in your biography that you actually worked for IBM.
I did.
Now, that doesn't sound like a Filippo job to me.
Well, see, now that's the part where Dad stepped in and said,
okay,
you know, you can do anything you want as long as you go to school and you work for a respectable company.
Okay.
And you get a regular job, then you can do anything you want, which ended up actually being the right thing.
Really? Huh?
Yeah,
It was?
Actually, it was.
Wow.
And it's interesting to grow up and see I don't know if it's instinct or divine inspiration,
Sure.
or, well, I guess, of course we know what it is.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Holy
exactly.
Spirit.
But no, exactly, that my parents knew exactly how to guide me for what my life was supposed to be, even though I was completely against it. It's just like all the things that we've talked about before.
Sure.
I mean, it's just, you think God is directing you in this way, and yet all these things happen, and then you realize, oh wow, this was perfect.
Sure.
And then afterwards you say, oh wow, God
Now, what
knows.
about your big break? Like, what was the big moment where things sort of changed that direction, and you say, wow, it's going to be bringing joy to people via entertaining them?
Actually, it was an interesting thing. As we've talked about before, it happens inside, because it's all in here. It's in your heart. It's in your connection, and so I was listening. I was working. I finally made it. Worked for IBM, and I had a house, and I bought another house, and a nice car, and art, and I had all the trappings of a successful life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to a broadcast of an opera I had done in the car while I was driving to one of my customers or something, and in my successful suit and car and all that stuff, and I'm listening to this music, and I hear me singing, and I start to sing out with my voice, and tears start coming down my eyes and down my face, and I thought, this is not success.
Wow.
The success is from inside.
Wow.
And I just felt it, and I took a week off from work, and I went up in the mountains to be with God, to be alone and to connect. And it was snowing, and I actually sat down on a rock, and it was cold and snowy, and I just sat there and I said, what am I supposed to do?
Wow.
And the answer came, and it said, you're supposed to share the love that you have been given through music, through your craft, through your art. And that's where it all started.
And you have brought, you've done a lot as far as performing, and lots of notable people. I saw that on the website too. Name a few for us. I saw lots this morning even.
A couple presidents,
Yeah.
a couple celebrities, and actually, and here's a gift too that I didn't realize until actually just very recently. People keep telling me, when you entertain, when you perform, when you speak, when there's something about you that makes people relax, comfortable, or just let go and enjoy or whatever. And I didn't get that. I wanted to have the best voice I could have, and the costume needed to be right, otherwise and the set and everything. And then when it came down to it, people just wanted to feel. They just wanted to interact.
Sure.
And it's so simple.
That's amazing. We're going to talk later on about the show, because I think it's very interesting. And, we sort of did a cooking show. It's called Real Food.
I know, and I wanted to be here
And
for
I wish
that,
you
but
could
I
have been,
couldn't.
but it was just so hard to get you. But we'll get you again, because we'll wind up doing it again. I'm the boss. I can do whatever I want. So we'll just put it on
Well,
another
I'll have
season.
to have you on my cooking show, because I'm the boss.
Oh, see, that's beautiful. So
What am I going to do?
It's good to be the
I'm
boss.
not the boss
You
of
can-
anybody.
You can come.
you're out, Karen. Sorry. No room for you on this couch.
Great.
But, it's interesting. I think, even as your career has really developed in a lot of ways, right? You're probably surprised yourself to a certain extent. To say, look, I can be a singer, but I can be much more than that even, right?
Actually, I've surprised myself in more ways than one.
Sure.
Not just where the career is headed and what it could do and what I could do, but in what I could feel. I don't know how to explain it yet. I get up on stage, or even here sitting with you two. It's just, I know I'm feeling good.
Right, and you give that. You're just
Oh,
there.
yeah.
It's obvious.
And people come up and they say, oh, I loved watching you, I felt good, and that's what it's all about. And I keep thinking, people make money, and it's like, but what do? Do you adorn yourself with more jewelry? Do you buy more trappings or whatever? Because it's really all here.
Right.
So I hold me to that. Watch my career as it develops, and let's have this conversation again.
I agree with you.
Because this is who I am and what I want.
You're a fun guy, Filippo. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you being around. You stick around?
Sure.
You stay a while?
I'm having a good time too.
Karen, keep him
I'll
here.
keep
Don't let
him here.
go.
He's not moving.
We'll be right back after this with plenty more good news, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Good News, everybody. We're here with Filippo Voltaggio. What brought you to Long Island? I was going to ask you that earlier.
Actually, it was the Hofstra concert that I was hoping you could come to, but unfortunately you had that. Well, it was a wonderful thing that you were doing.
Breast Cancer Coalition fundraiser, yeah.
Right. And so that show, it was a great show. It was directed by Bob Spiato, another Italian.
Yes, God bless him.
Over at Hofstra University, so it was great.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
But now we're going to see a clip of what you do now, thank God. So because we've talked about your gifts, but I think people should see that. What's this clip?
Well, actually, this is an interesting clip because it's from the Sergio Franchi competition that's held in Connecticut, which I won
6 times, let's
couple
be honest.
times.
I read that, yes, in a row.
So, and this is an interesting clip because you'll see Eva Franchi, who's Sergio Franchi's widow, really get into the song, and the audience get into it too, and it's, again, making the connections, because this was a song that her late, great husband, Sergio Franchi, used to sing to her.
Wow.
And so it's impossible.
Beautiful. Let's look at that.
Eva, you know I love you. We all love you. And Sergio must have really loved you. I know if Sergio were still alive, this would be your 20th anniversary. And I understand that he used to sing a very special song to you, and I am honored that you asked me to sing it today. And so I would like to, in turn, dedicate this to you and your undying love. It's impossible. Tell the sun to leave the sky. It's just impossible. It's impossible. Ask a baby not to cry. It's just impossible. Can I hold you closer to me and not feel you going through me? Split the seconds that I never think of you. Oh, how impossible. Can the ocean keep from rushing to the shore? It's just impossible. If I had you, could I evermore? It's just impossible. And tomorrow, should you ask me for the world, somehow I'd get it. I would sell my very soul and not regret it. For to be without your love is just impossible. Can the ocean keep from rushing to the shore? It's just impossible. If I had you, could I ever ask for more? It's just impossible. And tomorrow, should you ask me for the word, somehow I'd get it. I would sell my very soul and not regret it. For to be without your love is just too good. I would sell my very soul and not regret it. For to be without your love is just impossible.
Wow, that was beautiful. Karen, what do you think?
Unbelievable. Very
Reminds me of,
talented.
you know, Sunday mornings in my house was all this music too, and it just, you know,
Nice.
like the Italian hour and all.
Yeah.
That's just so important. I think it's an important part of our heritage to celebrate and use that music.
It is, and you know, earlier we were talking about my cooking show, and that's what it's about. It's that instead of Sunday morning, because Sunday morning was getting ready for church.
Yes.
And not being able to eat because you had communion.
Sure.
So, and then my mother would be making the sauce and everything, shut everything off. We'd go to church, and then we'd come back and we'd start the dinner.
Begin the feast. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And people would come over and all that stuff. So, and the food would always taste better on a Sunday because everybody was there and you're having fun and you're laughing and all that. So that's what our show is about, is about Sunday afternoons with the family. And so one of our taglines is, Italian food should never be cooked alone. I mean,
That's so
'cause
true, right?
Yeah.
It tastes better. And
who's the chef? Like, I know it's called Filippo and the chef.
Filippo and the chef. So Chef Ardi, who was a restaurateur who closed his restaurant to start this. And we started on the internet, and 2 months later we got picked up by national radio, and now we're on weekly on national radio.
Fantastic.
And now we're being picked up by a network for TV. So we might have to have you on our show.
Hey, how much do I love that? As long as I can eat whatever you make, that would be
That's
great.
right.
Well, we're going to show a clip of that, which is great, because I think we should give people a kind of a experience of what this is all about and the fun that you guys have.
Well, right now you can catch it on www.filippoandthechef.com.
Oh, easy.
Simple.
Good.
And also on radio, but there you can find out where it is on radio. And this clip is interesting because it's about being Italian and all of that, and yet we were interviewing an Italian star from Deal or No Deal, actually, one of the models.
Okay.
And her boyfriend was there, and he's not Italian, but he happens to be Mo Green or Maurice Green, who's the fastest man in the world, and he's a Olympic gold medal winner and all
Wow.
that. And he says, you have to come over to my house and teach me how to make this for my girlfriend. And sure enough, we ended up and the cameras came and all that, and we got this clip out of it, and we had a great time. So everybody wants to get on the Italian action.
That sounds great. Let's take a look.
Everything ends on its own time. If something's ready then a couple of hours later, the next thing might be ready.
So you don't feel like you race.
No.
So
I got like 8 different races that's finishing all at different times.
That's why I'm here.
Well, wait a minute.
Maybe
So-
by the time I leave, you'll have a slightly different thought about it.
No, but wait, I'm feeling something here. So let's say you finish what, you eat it, or you kind of wait for the next thing to finish and then you put it on it and then...
No, I don't eat it until everything is
All right,
finished.
so it's like a relay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, because something's got to be done first and then you add the next thing.
Yeah.
It's a relay.
But don't drop the stick.
Okay, all right.
When you start eating in between, that's dropping the stick.
So we're going to make a sauce from the gorgonzola cheese by shredding it so that gorgonzola cheese doesn't melt that easy, but it does melt.
Okay.
So in order to get it to melt quicker, we'll shred it into a liquid, and that liquid will be a heavy whipping cream.
How is it that your shoes don't melt? Speaking of shredding and... I mean, no, doesn't everything get hot? I mean, really?
My feet actually do get hot. That's why I always take my shoes off afterwards. But it's a specially made shoe, so Adidas makes it special. So
I don't know the answer to this question, but I think
Mo
I think I know close to it. I know he knows it. I think I know close to what it is. I think you have no idea.
Thank you.
So in order to surprise you, I'll ask the question.
Okay.
How many races does a pair of shoes last?
a pair of shoes can last anywhere to 3 to 5 races.
So if the shoes last up to 5 races and your races are under 10 seconds, that means a shoe will last as much as a minute?
Something like that, yeah.
That was fantastic. And it's obvious that you're having a lot of fun.
I am.
That's great.
I'm having a lot of fun.
Well, listen, thank
I'm
you
having
for
now.
get me
Yeah.
on that show, would you please?
Will you have fun with that?
I would love it. And, we have our food show, and that's the Italian world. Everybody's one. We all work
That's
together,
right.
right?
No, exactly.
So you're on one coast, I'm on the other. We'll work it out. Karen will drag you along.
I would love it.
Because,
Any
she
excuse.
thinks macaroni comes in a can.
It does come in a
And
can.
we have to get me on that somehow, Filippo. So we got to help you, all right?
We'll have to make that.
Thank you for being here, though. You're an
Thank you for
inspirational
having
guy,
me.
and it's wonderful. His website's on the screen. And don't forget to visit and kind of follow this guy's career, because we're going to hear a lot more from him. Quick break, but don't touch the remote, because we're going to be back with plenty more good news right after this.